you start with the weapon, and the way you fight empty hand is very similar. So we're looking at this line of attack where my hand goes from my hip towards my shoulder. It's like an uppercut slash. It could be a shot, could be a slash, could be a hack, could be some kind of rolling series of hits like this. But this plane of motion. So a good idea to do is to start with a weapon, with a stick or with a, a training sword or something like that, and just get some repetitions on slashing that line here. And you can work on pivoting one side or kind of pivoting and counter rotating with the other, working some thrusting motions like that. You could do this reverse and kind of wing that through this way as well. Whatever way you want, but just repping out this single line. A few different variations on this theme and approach it empty hand using this shape. Again, that diagonal line. Now you see in different Filipino systems all the time ways that they'll move in warm-up sessions or just developing some of the nuance in the way that they move within the art with different drills. So you could start this way and work on pivoting your feet out here like this and just letting your hands come across. This kind of motion to me always makes me think of, it's like putting on or taking off a seatbelt, right? Pulling or letting it retract this way here or here like that. So when Theo feeds a simple 1-2, jab and cross, I could catch the jab, whatever response I want, but then I'm gonna salute the cross. So again, it's this motion. My hand is gonna come to rest right above this near side eyebrow like that, right? So it's not out here, it's not above, it's just a simple lifting of the arm. The elbow is out from me a little bit to create a wedge. 1 and 2. Now I've got all of this space to operate between my body and his punch. So our first follow-up would be to uppercut underneath this, right? So you see this a lot in all different striking arts, even contemporary boxing, you see it more and more often. We always were taught to, it was called gaja, which is like the elephants, the trunk of the elephant coming out this way. So when this punch comes in here, bang, this shoots underneath like that. Now this punch could be to the ribs. If your timing is such that you're not quite able to pull this off, it might be easier for you to just make that a shovel hook here to the floating ribs like that, to the body underneath. I like this one. I think it's worth trying regardless. So here. Now, if the hand is still out, then we go to the body like that. If the hand is retracted, then we go high like this. Right? A lot of times on this jab, they want to hammer it down. It's pretty percussive. They're just trying to blast this arm that way. You only do 1 or 2 after a while, it gets kind of miserable. So when we cut here, you see that lifting motion. 1, 2. This is not going cross body now. It's going near side. 1, 2. Uppercut. Here, here, uppercut. Right? So I pivot in my body this way and I pivot back here. The footwork is fairly simple. I'm stepping at a 45-degree angle this way. They're called female triangles, like a V shape, like this. Then I pivot and pivot. That's it. Take 1 step, pivot, pivot. 1 step, pivot, and pivot, like that. 1 step, pivot, and pivot. Usually we finish this with a cross, that rear hand. So that's, we pick this up and uppercut, hook, cross. Now, we think in terms of uppercut, hook, cross in front of us, but we're going to switch our leads the whole time so that we're throwing this hand in our saluting motion. It's a lead uppercut, but when I pivot, it really becomes a rear uppercut. Now, this should be lead hook, but when I pivot, it's more of a rear, like a flaring rear hand, right? Because you're in close, almost an overhand or a rear hook here like that. Then when we pivot again, what maybe feels like a hook actually pivots into being a straight rear. So the whole time you're changing your orientation to your partner, your opponent. So 1, 2. See this once, twice, 3 times like that. Now, these arms up like this, we're going to gather and circle round here like that. This goes here, and here. So we're reinforcing this on the head and reinforcing this on the arm, and then take our shot here like that. Again, hit. See to the ribs, to the face or the body, and then here's your shot. See that loop around. This is already in. We could go here as well and then dump him on his backside and see where we wind up, right? In the Filipino arts, as we've been taught them, so often when you're going from point A to point B, you find something to take from them. So I like to scoop this and sneak that shot in there. That's already putting that weight in that rear foot. It's much harder for him to get the body tackle started when this is jamming a stiff arm right through his chin. Now I can get some leverage on this. So we can wrench this if we need to, or just lock it up and brace him here. Again, 1, 2. So a simpler variation on the theme then is if we're here in this position and we take the elbow instead. So maybe you're too close for punching, or self-defense scenario, sometimes maybe you don't want to hit with the fist. So if we use the elbow, 1. Now this is floating ribs, and these ribs beneath the armpit tend to not have a lot of padding on them. So you give a couple right away, you can feel it. So it's nobody's favorite, but it works. Here, like that. So that's a crack to the ribs. This one can come horizontal over top and down diagonal. Then here we are. This line, but it's a diagonal elbow. This is the shot here, but you horizontal elbow, and this is coming over top, but you let that elbow sneak through. See the loop? Here, knee it, but whatever your art dictates your follow-up might be. One thing that I like to add is to remove limbs and parts of the body while hitting. So with this salute motion and this up diagonal elbow to the ribs, watch his body curve and his head comes towards me. He's being nice and over exaggerating for the camera, but this will cause a little bit of a buckle. So when that happens and we clear this is going to land hard and fast right away. And it's kind of slick then if you can move this arm and make a bigger path. So when that elbow comes up here like this, use this free hand to pull the arm down and put that through. So maybe it's a better angle for us if we come here, 1, and choose the elbow. Now this hand will clear so that can hit. See how this moves so that can hit. And then we're here like this, and up and on our way. So last piece I would add to this is if you need a high volume or want a high volume of reps of just this saluting motion, a clever way to get it is just basic hubad. So if you've not done higat, hubad, lubad, or just hubad, this catch, lift, and pat motion is kind of the baseline. Every group will do this differently. Their shapes might be different, their distance, there are angles of attack, minor variations on the theme, but this is the general idea. So we're catching this here with the forearm. At least for today, this is the way we're doing this with the forearm. And this comes underneath as a replacement wedge. 1, 2, 1, 2, like that, 1, 2. 3 is the pat, and I feed on the forehand side. So I'm really not doing a lot to manipulate this and open that door unless I'm baiting that punch and I'm trying to follow up, right? Otherwise, I'm just bumping this up to take some control and probably own the center so that I can trap and hit on this side. Now every time I do this, I'm getting a repetition of the gross motion of that salute here when I do the lift. right? Now, the exact angle isn't quite the same. My orientation of my hand between the two of us is not quite the same because it's extended a little bit, greater than 90, so that I can wedge this through. But if I bring it here, then it's essentially the same idea. It's not usually how you would do this, but you can get repetition this way, or you can still call this repetition this way. So I have catch, lift, and I'm getting reps of this line, or I bring this up and I'm getting reps of the complete motion this way. And if you want to add to this, try first just turning your hips like that. See where it gets you, right? When I do this saluting motion and I turn my body, it really makes this whole line available so that it becomes just a big clearing motion like that. So that's one thing you could kind of pepper in there with your partner. You have your wedge, your salute, and maybe you turn the salute and start throwing shots in like that and get back up. Thanks for watching. Thank you, Theo, for helping me out. Remember, just this motion, either diagonal cross body or here like you're sprinting, that's 90% of the way there. Just getting used to going from this kind of cover to something that's more diagonal from center so that you can create distance or use this as a counter offensive tool. Thanks for watching.